Hello, my name is Laura Songster, and I'm with Marisa Faircloth, the owner of Restoration MedSpa, 2 locations in Winston-Salem and in Greensboro. And this is Empowered by Beauty. And I think, Marisa, when people hear about you, whether it's from a girlfriend or a guy friend and need to go here, what is the next step? And I would say it would be one of your complimentary consultations.
Absolutely. So our goal is that we provide you with all the information possible to make an informed decision what your next step is. And fortunately or unfortunately, there are so many alternatives out there, so many different things that very often we have somebody coming in saying, I want to have this procedure. And that's great. We may do that procedure, but once we get a feel for what that patient really wants, that may not be the right procedure for them.
And you and I have talked before in consultation, and I thought it was one thing, and you said, well, I probably use this other product for that. So the more interaction you have with the clients, the patients, whatever you call them,
Whichever one.
friend, as it turns out, it's very specific to that individual. It's not just this injectable or that injectable. It's let's see, what are the ultimate results you want, I would imagine.
Well, and sometimes there's more than one potential solution for that. And for example, you may come in and you want threads. And threads are a great procedure, but you also have volume loss. Maybe we could do some filler and it would fix both problems instead of doing 2 procedures. And we talk about this a lot, but I want to be a good steward of your money. You could spend money on multiple procedures, but if we choose procedures wisely, we might double down and be able to get multiple things corrected with a single procedure and save you some in the long run.
Well, and I know when I come to see you, it's just like, Marisa, fix me. Because I've known you forever. I trust you implicitly.
We have to earn that trust.
You earn that trust. And for me, it's like, what would you do? And that's not something someone should say. It's what is it that you want to restore?
Right.
Obviously, at Restoration MedSpa.
Absolutely. So when you come in, our goal is to give you a comprehensive consultation. Now, what I tell my patients is this consultation is, in a perfect world, where money grows on trees and we can just do anything and everything that we want to do, these are the things that you might consider. And in reality, you may come in and pick the things that are your biggest concerns today, but that doesn't mean that next month or next year or 6 months from now that you might move on down that list and decide, okay, now it's time for me to tackle this problem number 4 on the list. So we try to be relatively comprehensive and go over things. I will ask you, what are your concerns? What brought you in, and what are the things that bother you that you'd like to see fixed? And we rank them in priority. We'll start with the things that you don't like, and sometimes I might redirect you. I might say, okay, that is a feasible thing to work on, but I think this is going to give you more bang for your buck, and we'll put that on a back burner for now. But the goal is that whatever it is that bothered you is what we fix, not what I see. It's what bothers you.
Right.
So first on the list is we find out what your concerns are. Are you worried about wrinkles? Are you worried about overall aging and not feeling good? Do we need to start with hormones and get you feeling good and then worry about the rest? So we have to prioritize it according to what your concerns are.
Well, it would seem that you don't just serve a meal. It's a la carte. And it's prioritized based on, like, as you said, this is what's really bothering me, and then down the line. So let's pretend you and I are having a discussion and I have never been here before, to give them an idea what it might be like during your complimentary consultation.
So you're going to come in and fill out some paperwork. So that gives me a little bit of an idea of what have you done before? What medical concerns do you have that don't let you do certain procedures? It just guides my path as to what procedures are going to be appropriate for you and which ones we may not want to consider. And then I'm going to ask you what your concerns are. And typically we try to narrow it down to 3. But people are always very open to, I don't like this, or I don't like this, or I feel like I'm looking like my mother when I look in the mirror. And we will take those things and then we'll start offering solutions to those concerns that they have. And sometimes it's several solutions. You know, if you come in and you're concerned about looking saggy and tired, it may be multiple things. We may give you the option of Botox to help relax the muscles and get rid of some lines that you have. We may tell you we need to add some filler and give you a little volume and a little lift. We may also talk about skin tightening so that your skin is in the best shape possible and it's tight and elastic and healthy. We might also talk about skincare. So we also are going to interweave other providers into this journey. So we might start today, let's say we're starting with Botox, that's you know, typically where I'm gonna start, but I'm also going to find out, what is your skincare routine? You know, if you're concerned about having lines and wrinkles that are caused from sun damage, are you wearing sunscreen?
Right.
You know, are you using products that are going to help maintain good skin health, or do we need to work at the basics? So we're going to talk about that during our consult. We may or may not get into a full skincare regimen. I would say typically I would want you to see one of our estheticians. We will offer you a discounted hydrofacial so that you can get a basic service, have that time with the esthetician, and so she has the opportunity to get to know, how does your skin react? Are you dry? Are you oily? Do you have redness or rosacea, or do you need to deal with acne issues? And that will give her the ability to target your treatment plan according to what you really need. So that weaves in another part of this. Now you're seeing Charisse or Whitney or Gracie for that. And then if you have concerns about, okay, my skin's not great, what are we going to do about it? I might be able to help it look better with Botox, but if your skin has lost its elasticity, we need to work on that too. And then we might need to do things like laser treatments or skin tightening treatments. And we might think about adding in hormones, because as we lose our hormones, now our estrogen's depleted, our skin falls apart. So we might need to, you know, replenish that so that we have a good hormone level and everything's working at its optimum. You know, we can do one fix, but if you're not in the best shape, it's not going to maintain as well.
I would like to interject as a client that it doesn't matter what you did in the 80s or the 70s. We laid on tinfoil blankets with baby oil. We did all those things. We didn't know any better, so we couldn't do better. And I think a lot of people are afraid maybe, or even maybe a little ashamed, like, well, I just use XYZ soap. I've never really spent any time on my face. And I would like to tell you that are listening and or watching, there's no judgment here. And I think that is such a gift, because you could go to a department store, to an upper end cosmetics, and they will shame you. And that's not what this is about. This is all about improving self-worth, self-confidence. And so if you think, well, they're going to be, because I didn't do this or I didn't do that. No, they're not. They're not. They're going to look at you as an individual and take care of you.
Oh, we start where we start.
Right.
We are at a different starting point, and like I tell my patients, if you had come in at 20, no, we're not going to start doing the things we're going to do if you come in and we have a little more repair to do. But we're gonna work on fixing what we see, and then we're gonna work on maintenance. But we have to get you to the point that you wanna maintain. And most people, when they come in, regardless of where you start, need a little bit of repair first. So maybe we need to work on lines with Botox. Maybe we need to work on pigment that you have from being out in the sun and work on that with some laser treatments, or maybe some chemical peels, or even start out with some basic good skincare to diminish that. And as we build on that, you will get to a point that you look in the mirror and you go, okay, now I'm starting to see what I remember. I mean, I have a patient who came in, she said, I'm starting to remember that face in the mirror now. And I said, well, we're just uncovering a little at a time. When we reach that, unfortunately, we can't stop aging. We can't stop time. We're still being exposed to the sun and the environment and internal factors. So we have to deal with all that. But if we just do many things, like I have a patient who came in, she says, but I do the red light. And I said, okay, red light's good. I mean, we use red light. It helps with inflammation. There's absolutely nothing wrong with red light. But my common analogy is, if you want a pool in your backyard, you want to dig it with a bulldozer or you want to get out a spoon? Because you can have a pool in your backyard with a spoon, but it's going to be way down the road. And red light is not going to get you there in the amount of time you want to do it. We choose the procedure that is appropriate to the patient and what degree of correction we need. And sometimes, you know, maybe they've been somewhere else and they've been told that, you know, they're 65, they spent their life in the sun and they're going to turn 18 instantly by a red light treatment. I'm like, don't waste your money on that. You know, pick a procedure that is appropriate for where you are and what you want to see.
And your website is a wealth of information on the various products and services that you do offer. And it's so important for people to understand that your practice is latest technology, you're up to date, continuing education. I keep saying this. The reason I keep saying is because things have changed in the last 2 years or 5 years, certainly 10 laser hair removal, to mention one.
Right. In the time that I've had this practice open, we're on our 3rd laser hair device. And it's not because that device wore out, it's because it's outdated. The next generation is so much better. I'm not going to treat you with a 10-year-old device if there's something out there that's so much better. We are on our 3rd laser hair device. We are on our 3rd radio frequency microneedling device, and we are on our 2nd generation of ultrasound. Now, that's expensive, but you can be assured when you come in and one of our providers are recommending something to you, it is the best thing out there, and we're not using a device that I bought 10 years ago just because I don't want to pay for a new one. We want you to get the best outcome.
And just the difference with laser hair removal, you know, when I had my legs done, 20 years ago? Ouch. And I went in for some facial, and she goes, we're done. I said, what? What do you mean we're done? I could have fallen asleep doing that. And I know people don't believe that, but it's absolutely true.
Well, if people have had an experience, they're going to relate back to what it was before, and it isn't that way anymore. And same with a majority of the things that we do. Laser treatments years ago are no longer the same. Now, it doesn't mean that there's zero downtime, but even the devices we have now that are more effective, better results, are a lot easier to tolerate and a lot more downtime. And people have busy lives. You know, people do not want to have a lot of downtime. They don't want to have a lot of recovery. And we need to pick what's best for them. You know, going back to the consultation, learning a little bit about who you are and your lifestyle. Let's talk about maybe having some textural issues and brown spots. We have we have multiple devices, but I'm narrowing it down to two. Two devices that are very good at creating textural improvements so your skin is smoother and brighter and helping diminish brown spots. They both remove actinic keratoses or precancerous lesions. That's a bonus.
Yes.
Because all of us in the generation that were using baby oil and reflectors and no sunscreen whatsoever, we will have sun damage. We just have it. And we can wait for that to pop up as a skin cancer and cut it off and have a big scar. We can go to the dermatologist every year and have them burned off, frozen off, which creates a scar. Or we can do a laser procedure that will remove those precancerous cells and make our skin healthier and better and fresher. So I bought two devices that are FDA cleared for that. One device is a little more low level. It's pretty easy to tolerate. You know, you're numb. You might be a little bit red. You might feel sunburny, you know, a little bit hot, sunburny for a few hours. By the next day, you'd probably never know you had it done.
Really?
You might be a tiny bit dry and tight. You'll get cumulative benefits as you do a series of 3. So you're getting a little bit of benefit with practically no downtime. You come do it one day, the next day you can go to work, do whatever you want. But you will have to come see us 3 times over a series of 3 months. The alternative is a different laser that is a little more aggressive. It will create a little more change in a single treatment. You won't have to come back 3 times. You will only have to come and do 1, but it's more aggressive. We created a little bit more injury in your skin, which means you need to take a little longer to recover. You're gonna look red like you have a sunburn. You're gonna notice that what we call bronzing on your skin, kind of like when you do burn the surface of the skin, you can see it's kind of burnt, and that's going to come off. So for a few days, there is going to be something visible that you had a laser done, and it might take as much as a week before you are totally back to normal. That doesn't mean you need to hibernate like years ago, when people had those big time lasers and couldn't leave their house, but it is more than one that is really low level, and depends on what you do. You know, you may tell me, I do not want to come back 3 times. Just do it, get it done, and send me on my way. Well, then we're going to do a halo. But if you come in and say, I can't take time off work, because if I take 3 days off work, that's going to cost me more. I would rather come see you 3 times on a Friday and miss no work than having to take a day or 2 off. Then we're going to opt for a LACE MD. Now, realistically, most competitive practices won't buy both of those lasers.
Really?
They're going to buy one or the other.
And be done.
And you're going to do it, whichever one they have. They're both good lasers. Frankly, I could have one or the other and it would be fine. But I'm not meeting everyone's needs that way, because I might require that you take 3 days off work, and that's going to cost you more. So we're going to try to give you multiple options to find the one that's going to suit you better.
That just makes sense. Some people are available Monday through Friday, and some people would rather do a more subtle. And again, it's the individual client, not a blanket fix-all.
Never. It's always individual. So we take the time to figure out what I'll lay out the options, but I'll ask you questions to find out, in my opinion, which option is really gonna suit you better. Ultimately, it's your choice. But clients pretty much tell you which one is the right answer for them when you ask them questions about their lifestyle. And, you know, if people tell you, I travel for a living, I'm home Friday through Monday, I can't be out more, that answers your question.
Right.
You know, this is a better option for you. It's not a lesser option, it's just a different choice.
And coming to an expert, from facility to facility, the expertise changes. But you have been doing this for decades.
Long time.
You've written a book. We have the neon sign. And as I always say, trust the experts. You did all the learning, the schooling, you went to the medical side of things, you've done the work. So listen to me, and then you're gonna help funnel down through the sieve of what's possible and get the best outcome, rather.
There's a staggering amount of options out there, and it's really hard for the general public to figure out what the best thing is, because every device manufacturer, everybody is going to tell you mine's the best. And it may be best at one thing. And like I tell my patients, I have probably 30 devices. They're all best at something. None of them are best at everything, which is why we have 30. Otherwise, I'd have one. But that gives us the opportunity to kind of figure out on a one-on-one basis, what exactly do you want to see? And then we can pair you with what the procedure is that'll give you your best outcome.
So as a new client coming in for the complimentary consultation, you sit there, is there something you write down? Here's what we've discussed.
Absolutely.
And this in the hierarchy of what bothers you the most or what you want to improve, is that, so there's like a take home?
There is a
Okay.
take home. So we have a consultation form that lists your concerns, and then it lists the solutions to the concerns along with cost. We also talk about skincare, like I said, because if we're not taking care of our skin, it's not going to respond well. So we need to make sure that we're giving you all the options that you need. We're going to give you that sheet to take home. For example, if we decide we're going to do Botox, that needs to be done every 3 months. There's a calendar on the back, and we're going to say, it's January now. We're going to start with Botox now. We're going to put it on every 3 months. If we're doing filler, okay, this filler is a product that we need to do once a year. We're going to put you down for January. We're going to do that again in January. Maybe we're going to get you started on a skincare regimen where you're going to do hydrofacials or chemical peels. Maybe we do those every other month, and we'll put them on your calendar as well. So you've got a little bit of a roadmap in front of you of what this beauty journey is going to look like and what kind of steps you need to take. We're also going to send you home with a folder, and in our folder we have an introductory letter that talks about our practice and a little bit of information about all the providers that we have here. We're going to give you brochures on every procedure that we talked about, so that not only did we overwhelm you with stuff when you walk in the room, when you leave, you have information to go back and look at that. And then we're going to give you a price quote that lists each of the things that we talked about and what their corresponding price is. We don't expect you to walk out and do all of those things, but we do expect that we've given you enough information to make an informed decision of where am I going to start and how are we going to start incorporating all these things in. So you will go home with a lot of information. Most of the time, you're gonna do something the day that you come in for the consult. So we'll kind of start on a low level, and then we may book out an appointment later for some of the other services. But you're gonna get a good plan and some good options to the concerns that you have. We'll answer all the questions you have, and you will be able to go home and go through all that. Everything that we give to you is also in our record. So if you go home and you call and talk to any one of our medical concierge, you can say, I don't remember what that procedure was. I think I want to book that one. It'll be in your record, and we can go ahead and book that for you and get you started.
Well, I think it's so important to have something to take home. I know for myself, just going to a doctor, we don't advocate that well for ourselves. And in a moment, you may remember, well, this is for this and that's for that. And then if I wanted to, is a cool tone or cool sculpting? What was it? And to be able to go home and go, okay, that's the one and that's the one. And I think that's so important that you have that and you don't go home and go, I might need to find out again.
And we are never high pressure.
No, I agree. Mm-hmm.
Our goal is to meet your need at your speed. Hey, that was a good little tagline. Meet your need at your speed.
Somebody write that down.
So does that mean you walk in and do everything the first day? Maybe. If you're gung-ho and you've got a big event and you want to do it all, we're down.
Mm-hmm.
We're right there with you. But if you come in and you want to start here knowing that you have other things on your journey that you're going to add along the way, that's perfectly fine. We will work with you at your speed. We also offer some financing options.
And I think we really need to expound on that because
I
I wouldn't have expected that.
Well, we honestly don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But we do offer some options, and not only do we offer options there where you can break up payments, we offer you options where we pay all the fees and the interest. So if you come in,
That's unheard of.
if you come in and you say, I've got this event in 2 months, I can only afford half of what you're talking about. I can't come in until 3 months to finish it. I would rather you use a financing program. We will front you the service and you can pay it off over time. There are no interest programs, doesn't cost you anything. You can just divide it out into more payments so it's a little bit easier to handle. And that's part of what we offer you. We will cover the interest and the fees on those. And we have a couple different plans that we can offer. So don't be embarrassed to say, I just can't do all that today. That's okay.
Because I think that so many people are in that position with inflation is what it is, and you think, well, I'd really like to look like this for my class reunion coming up, but I also have to pay the power bill. I also have to put gas in my big SUV or whatever that is. So I would say when you come in for that consultation, be brave and be completely honest. You're not going to be judged.
Never. I mean, our goal is to have whatever options available that we need to have to make this doable for you. So maybe you do just come in and pay for it all, and that's perfectly fine, but it's also fine if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. We offer options that make it doable and easy for you.
And I think I would never have guessed that was even an option. So I think you're probably fairly unique in that. As far as time, people who are working Monday through Friday, 40 hours, a consultation, what's the time you need to carve out for that? Would you say, do I want 14 things or I don't want one? It's probably a different answer.
It is different. I would say depending upon the number of concerns you have, we're probably going to make an appointment for a consultation anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes. Sometimes it's longer, but typically we're going to do that within about a 30, 45 minute period of time. We know your time's important too, And if you're coming in the middle of the day, you probably came from work. You have something else you're doing. So we're not going to keep you here excessively, but that also doesn't mean we're not going to give you the time you need.
Yeah, you never feel rushed. You never feel rushed here, and I think that's so important. Marisa, of course, has written Empowered by Beauty. Give us a few reasons to buy it.
Well, learn about why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Because you and I have had this conversation many, many times. People do not feel empowered, and people feel less than, and they feel like they don't look their best, they don't feel their best, they don't have the self-confidence they'd like to have. And that's what Restoration MedSpa is all about. It's about restoring your self-confidence. It's about letting you be the absolute best version of yourself that you can be with every one of my employees. But that book gives you kind of the background of what I do and why you should be doing it, because you need to be empowered to be your best version of yourself. One of the things I talk about is the fact that we have 7 seconds to make a first impression. 7 seconds. And we think that it's vain or that it's selfish to make ourselves look better, but what if you're out looking for a job? Do you want that person who came in before you or after you, who was put together and was confident and walked in the room and took over, to walk out with your job?
Right.
You know, you deserve that too, and I want you to walk in there with that same degree of self-confidence so that you win the room within 7 seconds. And that's really what we're all about. I think people mistakenly think it's just vanity, but it really has nothing to do with vanity.
No, it's restoring what's inside, what's outside, and if you're feeling like a caterpillar, why aren't you a butterfly? Well, it's in here if you think you're a caterpillar, but you're gonna feel a lot better once you come see Marisa Faircloth and your incredible medical staff. Everyone here
Fabulous
is so
staff.
wonderful.
It's taken a while to build a phenomenal team, but we have some really, really good providers that are all experts in their own right, in their own little field, and they are more than happy to help you however they can.
So you too can be empowered by beauty. Marisa Faircloth, I'm Laura Songster. Thanks for watching and listening.